Thank you so much for the opportunity to hang out with you and talk about ChatGPT, which is a very, very popular topic. Actually, this morning we presented on the same kind of topic, and PCC had a teaching week. Today, this morning, our session was the most registered session in the whole history of teaching week. So you can imagine it's a hot topic. My name is Wilson. I teach at Portland Community College in the Business and Entrepreneurship Department. I have a marketing background, so as you can see, ChatGPT has been very, very helpful from like marketing perspective, but also just in education. So I've had a chance this past year to really focus on ChatGPT. I'm part of the AI cohort at Portland Community College and just took a whole year. I have a whole year just taking different certifications. I did the data science from MIT professional education, which focused on really machine learning and large language models, which is something that we're going to talk about as well. So I would like to say one thing. I like to think that just using ChatGPT as much as I can, both from education perspective, from the business lens, I like to think that I have some things that we can share today that could be beneficial for one of us or two of us or all of us. So, but I also want to make it clear that no one knows everything. And ChatGPT, the more we use it, the more we're training it. So therefore, there's no expert, right? So what that means is feel free to give some thoughts, ask questions. If I don't have the answer, I would say, you know, I actually don't know. Let's try it out. Right? Or research about this, right? This past week, I've had a chance to hang out with an 85-year-old person who came from South Dakota visiting me, and I was hanging out with him, and he says, so what is this ChatGPT and artificial intelligence thing? I'm like, I don't know how to explain it to an 85-year-old person, right? But then I was like, wait, you have iPhone 14. Do you know Siri? Because I use it with them. He's like, yes, I use it all the time. What is that thing? I'm like, that's artificial intelligence. He's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah. And he've used Grammarly before. So every time he used Grammarly, I'm like, do you remember that when we were writing that letter and then he kept giving you corrections and all of that? He's like, yeah, that was amazing. I'm like, that's artificial intelligence. He's like, oh my God, I've been using it. I'm like, yes. So artificial intelligence is something that we have been using for a very long time. I remember I used to work for a SaaS company doing sales, and we had this platform called Gong. So what that is every time we made calls with businesses like Spotify or Nike, all these calls were recorded. And this platform will tell us how much talk we did in that session. So it will give me, like, Wilson, you spoke about 80% in this meeting, right? You spoke this much, you spoke this much, here's the key points, here's this. It will give us all this data. And what really happened is that the manager will read that first before they come talk to you. So the manager will say, yeah, I realize you talked about 60% in this meeting. You know we're supposed to talk about 40%, right? Right? Because if it wasn't for that platform, nobody else will find out. Or you could argue that, yeah, maybe I did, right? So there's a lot of different artificial intelligence platforms that we have been using. It's just that ChatGPT became a thing that not only shows us or gives us resources, it actually does it for us. That's why, as humans, we're kind of lazy. That's why it blew up, right? So that's why you're hearing about it. But it's been a thing for a very long time, and it's just been growing for the past 3 years. So back to my old 85-year-old man. So he said, you know, with all this technology stuff, once you get older, you don't care about none of that. He's like, you know what? Older people, they're not concerned about these small things. They're concerned about sneezing and not peeing at the same time. Yeah. I'm like, wow, interesting, right? So as much as I like to talk about ChatGPT and you learn, we have to remember that we only have one life, so at some point we are gonna do the best we can with the technology that we have, and we're gonna pass it on to the next generation. Okay, who's excited about ChatGPT? All right, all right. So since we have 1 hour, I am going to rush through this little thing, and then we're gonna get to ChatGPT, right? Then we're gonna spend some time exploring, talking about the best practices, talking about what we're finding out with students from the college level. I do have the opportunity to work with a lot of high school teachers as well. I was a substitute teacher myself, and I am still young. So I understand when I talk with the young people and talk about ChatGPT, how they're using it, they are able to be honest with me more than they would with you. So I have an advantage. So let's unpack this. What is LLM? Anybody? What does it stand for?
Language learning machines.
Close.
The large language models.
Large language models. So when we talk about ChatGPT, we're really talking about one segment of this whole thing called large language model. What that is this, the way to explain a model is like a final product, right, of building a program with machine learning. And what is language? A model that takes in human language as input, gives back human language as output. So when you're putting certain things in ChatGPT, if you say, hey, tell me about Oregon, it will tell you a lot of information than you asked, right? That's because it's good at telling stories. It actually does not know what it's saying other than knowing that Oregon, story, tell me, and it keeps all these words together and it says, I think you're asking me this. Let me give you this, right? And then when you're using ChatGPT, it will tell you regenerate, right? That little keyword, we're going to see it. It says regenerate. So when you do that, it's you saying, I like the answer you gave me, but I don't like it as much. So let's try it again. Now it's saying, oh, I did not do a great job. Let me go back and try to rewrite the same thing that I just gave you and see if it makes sense. If you don't regenerate, it's thinking, oh, I gave the right answer. So I would do the same thing for another person who asked me a similar question. Does that make sense? So it's the same thing. It's going to give you an example of how Google works, right? You type in something in Google. It gives you those search results. So usually the top 3, it's like ads and people paid for them, right? But the ones that show up that you don't pay for, it's very, very, very difficult to get on that first page of Google. And from a digital marketing lens, we fight for those keywords. If you type in top 5 athletes in the world, well, maybe that's factual because you have specific athletes, as opposed to typing something general that has thousands of results. So therefore, a page that's going to come up, it's a page that has a lot of keywords based on what you just typed in. So in a sense, when we use ChatGPT, it's thinking similarly. Like, this keyword equal this. This keyword equal this. So for example, fill in a blank. The sky is, you cannot say the sky is water, right? It's thinking that the sky is whatever color, red, blue, this. So as long as the computer is thinking water is a wrong solution for this prompt, it's never going to give you water. But what it will give you is, if you train the computer to say the sky is blue, like thousands of people went on ChatGPT and say the sky is blue, it's probably going to be thinking, whoa, I've been trained wrong. Like a lot of people are using this, are training me that this is what it is. So it will actually convert to that. So in a nutshell, each of these things, when they were training ChatGPT, which you probably haven't read it, it was in the New York Times, like they used a lot of different workers from different countries to train billions of data, right? Because in order to build something like this, you can imagine they scrapped the internet of everything that we've ever searched until 2021. And then they pull all this data into some machine and train this computer to say, if I type this, give me this. If I type, and then from a technology perspective, computers think in 0-1 language, 0-1, 0-1. So every keyword has a number to it. So this is how it goes. So imagine doing this trillion of times, what would you learn? So the computer gets to learn certain words that match with certain verbs that match with certain words, certain ask. all things like that. So the more we use ChatGPT, the more we're training it as well. This is one of the reasons we'll get to it when we talk about assignments. Like, this is what I see a lot of teachers. I think my student used ChatGPT. Let me see if they did. And then they copy students' assignments, they put into ChatGPT, right?
Yes.
Never do that. Don't do that. Of course it was saying, yes, ChatGPT wrote it, right? Never do that. You're doing it the wrong way. So we're going to talk about that. So what is generative AI? So in this presentation, I have another presentation that talks about just artificial intelligence, like the applications, so you get to learn. In fact, I'm going to show you. We're going to get to it. These are the applications. So you will get the slides, so you can learn and study by yourself without us involved, right? But I am going to just, I put this here because we're really focused on like one element of it, which is the natural language processing and the machine learning. Really, that's what we're talking about. Because we're not talking about robotics, we're not talking about optimization, speech recognition, which you use Siri or any other components, right? All these elements are part of artificial intelligence. But what we care about the most is what helps us to do our job, to write the curriculum and not lesson plan faster than we imagined. So this is part of generative AI, a type of artificial intelligence system capable of generating text, images, or other media in response to prompts. Recently, 3 months ago in May, I went to, 3 months ago? Well, time's going fast. I went to an artificial intelligence conference in San Francisco, and basically the takeaway was, English is the new programming language. What that really means is, some of these, especially, maybe we're talking about just in the United States, a lot of these companies that are developing these nuances of what ChatGPT could look like, or integrating ChatGPT into their platforms, right? ChatGPT, in order to be a really good user of it, you have to know how to use proper language in terms of like prompts. If you know what you're looking for, it will give you the answer, right? So for some of us who might not know what to ask, or the people that don't know how to ask the question, they're going to be in trouble because they won't know how to use it effectively, right? So that was the takeaway. And we're going to see that later because you're going to have an assignment. I hope you have a computer or a phone that we can do. But this is a whole description, according to McKinsey & Company, about what generative artificial intelligence is. Now, ChatGPT overview. So there's two components. ChatGPT 3.5, ChatGPT 4. How many people here have ChatGPT 4, the paid version? None of you have the paid version?
Is it worth it? You're talking to teachers.
You're talking to teachers? I love it. The school district did not give us that budget. All right. I'm going to explain the difference. So, ChatGPT 3.5 is very general, which you have access to. And what it does is giving you the data that it was built with. ChatGPT 4, on the other hand, this is how the company is becoming more aggressive in terms of like getting money back, because they did invest a lot of money, billions of dollars into it. ChatGPT 4 is going to be the version that is going to try to catch up with the today's data, right? Right now, if you're using 3.5, it's giving you older data. Like, it's not giving you factual information of 2023. Go ahead.
So the pay model there is, do you pay for every search? Do you pay for every word?
It's a monthly pay.
Monthly?
Yeah, it's $20 a month.
Subscription.
It's a subscription base. It's $20 a month. So it's going to give you more, according to OpenAI, they say, and we can Google it right now, it's going to give you more current data, right? And then what it does is it's more for like advanced users, people who know how to search for specific prompts and do more things. So if you're really just using it for general purposes, just keep the free version, right? But for some businesses that are already integrating this into their WordPress, their other softwares, they might need to get the paid version because they can create their own version of like prompts of what they want. Yeah.
I just downloaded ChatGPT the other day for the first time. And, well, it was subjective, but what I noticed is that it doesn't learn from me. So does number 4 learn quicker? Like
It doesn't learn from you?
yeah, so I thought the learning would be faster, that it would pick up what, like my profile. I thought it would, if I asked the same questions, it would give me answers that would be more generative and more intelligent, but it's always giving me the same answers. So does 4 have a quicker learning?
4 it's a little bit better.
Okay.
But it's you're only gonna recognize it if you're doing something specific that requires a specific prompts.
Okay.
That's how you're gonna be able to recognize it. On the other hand, another thing to know is if you open ChatGPT at 11 a.m., whatever, Eastern Standard Time or whatever time a lot of people are using it because it's a general thing, it's gonna be slow, right? I've had occasions where I get on there and it just takes so long to give me an answer because there are thousands of people on there, right? Then the lesser version, it's gonna be less people, so it's gonna be empowered to go faster and to respond faster, things of that nature. Yes?
I think it will be slow. This is my experience. When you put a question, it's not clear. Because this is what I have all the time when I put it.
I love it.
A sentence is not clear. So when I said, write an email for something about this topic, this topic, this topic, and then it took a couple of seconds, this is the delay time, and then I will get everything.
Right, sometimes it's delayed that way. Yeah,
And then
no, you're right.
seconds, because it's 3-4 seconds maximum. This is what I, even with, as I told, even with both languages, Arabic and English, it gives me,
Absolutely.
when my question is not clear, give me the same amount of time.
Yeah, but when I say there's a delay sometimes, is that I'm not sure what's happening right now, but when there's a lot of people sometimes, it does not actually work. So you probably haven't dealt with that.
Work
But
or log in?
you can
Because
log
at the
in.
beginning when I started the 3.5,
Oh, that one, yeah.
sometimes when I log in, they said it's busy.
Yeah.
Try to come back later.
That
And
was
it's
earlier when everybody got to know what ChatGPT is, right? That was earlier. But okay, so now, we're gonna demo the tool, right? How many people have used ChatGPT before? Oh, this is good, okay. We're gonna demo the tool, brainstorm a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about hallucinations. But we'll wait to talk about hallucinations when we talk about grading and teacher stuff, right? Fun stuff. Okay, so now, let me see if I can do this. So first and foremost, when you log in into ChatGPT, it says, ask away. ChatGPT can answer questions, help you learn, write code. It's really good at math, brainstorm together, and much more. In fact, it has passed bar exams, medical tests, all kinds of stuff. So it can pass, if it can pass those kind of tests, pretty sure it can pass your class. Okay, so don't share sensitive information. The reason why this is here is because chat history may be reviewed or used to improve our services. Learn more about your choices in our help center. So basically everything that you type in, it's data collection. That's why it's free, right? And from a business lens, no one knows what the future holds, but usually that you want to have as many people use your product so that way you can make it nicer and better. Check your facts. They are very open about this and say, hey, while we have safeguards, ChatGPT may give you inaccurate information. It's not intended to give advice. The reason why they say that is the hallucination piece. Students would do assignments, they might turn it in, but if you're a careful teacher and you check your citations, some of those citations are made up.
Yes.
So those are hallucinations. And sometimes you might make up a story that is not true, but based on a factual information. So if you say the Independence, July 4th is Independence Day in the United States, tell me more, it will give you more information based on that factual data, but the other information might not be true. So a lot of students are falling into the trap of like, oh, I know this is nice. It's able to give me the information that I know is true. And then they'll keep going rabbit hole and find out that they're just writing stuff that it's not connected to the factual information that they're talking about. So very important to know that. Now, recommended dish, brainstorm, plan a trip, compare storytelling techniques. I can say, here is what I always recommend. A lot of us know how to ask it, but businesses today, even in my agency, what we do when we want to help a client is say, hey, I'm about to give you a problem. Here is the problem. Ask me questions that you want to know in order to give me the answer to this problem. Does that make sense? Because I'm telling the machine to say, here is the problem. Before we solve it, I want you to ask me as many questions as possible so I can answer your questions so that we'll get right to my solution. What it does, it gives you questions that you should answer in order for it to give you a good answer. So let's do this. I am about to a project that I want to do regarding Portland Public Schools. Portland Public School. What problem should we do for Portland Public Schools?
Special education.
Special education.
About to strike.
Strike.
Let's do the strike. Wait, there was a strike that took place?
No,
Potential. They plan for one. Go ahead.
There's a potential strike.
No, they plan.
Oh,
Based on your.
I'm learning a lot. Okay, all right. I'm about to share a project that I want to do regarding Portland Public Schools strike. Before I get, oh my gosh, I can type, into the details, I want you to ask me key questions about my project. Okay, so there we go. Spilling out a lot of stuff. And for me, I'm reading, I'm like, okay, certainly I'll be able to help you brainstorm and plan your project regarding the Portland Public Schools. What's the purpose? What's the audience? What's the scope? What's the medium? Notice how all of this, now, you don't have to answer all of these questions, but it's giving you the idea that if I have all these information, I'll put together a plan that a consultant who will charge you $30,000 could do as well. That's what it's telling you. So if we have more time and we were able to fill this up, you don't have to do a lot of words. You could just do like quick sentences, and then you put it back in. It will give you the plan because you already gave it that information. Remember, if ChatGPT is writing something back to you, it's because it's just seeking information from every prompts that everyone had put in there. So sometimes it's wrong, right? So when you give the information that you want, I want this is you building a scope of work. I want you to work from these surrounding topics. It will put it all together and it'll give you the answer. So, in a nutshell, notice how I talked about regenerate. If I don't like it, I could just say regenerate and it will all the time. Or I can say, what are the top 5 questions that you need to know? So notice how it operates within mathematical equations. You say, I need 5 questions, I need 2 questions. For some of you, write an email. I want this email to be in a friendly tone. I want this, if you want to write an email to a parent whose daughter has not been showing up to school and you don't want to yell at them in that email, you can say, I want to make this email as friendly as possible, but here's what I want to say, right? Things like that. So you can really learn how to have a relationship with this tool based on what you want out of it.
When you type in top, do you mean the most popular on all of the data that it's already swept? Because this doesn't take feedback, right? So it doesn't know what we like the most within ChatGPT. But does it mean based on what's already been scraped?
Everything that it does is based on what it's already been scraped.
Oh, okay.
Everything that it does. It's based on its history.
Okay.
So when I say top questions, it's thinking, if you want to do this kind of project, here are the top questions that I need to know, so that way I can help you further. So, in a nutshell, we can come back to it, but with interest of time, let's just kind of keep going, so that way we can get the other stuff. This is more of like, this, as you can see, I use ChatGPT quite a bit. This is another platform, OpenDALI. It's a platform for things like draw a cat in the space. It's another platform for generating images. There's so many different platforms out there that you can use. There are platforms that can turn your voice into whatever celebrity you like into their voice, right? You can write a song, you can do all kinds of stuff. In fact, we're dealing with so much information right now that it's kind of difficult to track of like, how are we going to deal with it? If we take, there's been songs that are not real songs. They take Drake and then they put together another person and then they match them together and they perform a song and it sounds like it's a real song, but it's generated by ChatGPT and artificial intelligence stuff. So this is a cat in the space, obviously. That's what it gave me, right? Here, this is a question that I would ask, like, what question do you want to ask? But it sounds like most of you have done ChatGPT. So we're going to move on. And this is more of like other platforms that we should pay attention to. So every time if you're a teacher who gives students, hey, go read this PDF or this book and give me a summary of what it says. ChatPDF does that, and it does that really, really well. So these are just kind of like different kind of platforms. Here, I want us to take a few minutes and as a group, maybe find like 3 other people, find somebody who has a phone. Let's do one thing, right? As a group, use ChatGPT to try one of the following. Brainstorming something from your field, ask it to outline a paper on a specific topic, or copy in a technical document and ask for the information in a simpler language. Copy in an article, ask questions, write a song. This morning, we presented to 100 people on virtual Zoom, and then 80% of them says, I just want to write a song, right? So because it's just easier, I guess. Let's go ahead and try that from your own computer or your own phone, and then let's have a quick discussion, because then we're going to move from that into the classroom environment. Is that okay? Assignments I gave you. This is why we're about to go to talking about assignments and the way we're going to change the way we teach. It's no longer that I'm teaching you, go ahead and write a summary about this. We have to be creative as the technology emerges. Education is very, very old, and we've been using the same practices. It's time to be able to be innovative. Every teacher has to be technical enough to understand programming, to understand different disciplines of artificial intelligence, because that's the world we live in. So go ahead.
So we, at Lincoln, we are using Turnitin.
Mm-hmm.
Turnitin gives you a graph of the time that they type these letters, how far you go to the end of your project, and any revisions that you make in it. So you can see graphically the time and the effort that has been made.
Yeah.
Can kids game that and say, I want this to be generated in such a way that it would look like it?
I think I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
However, one thing that I've learned from others is that if we're tackling this problem from a very, from an angle that because this tool does it, students are going to cheat, plagiarism, academic dissent. We're removing ourselves from the knowledge creation tool and title that we have. We have to give students the benefit of the doubt that they actually want to learn as well. It's like being a police officer. According to the study that's been done, the more you put police officers in one neighborhood, 20 of them in one neighborhood, the more crimes you're going to find. Period. That's just historical data. So therefore, as educators, if we keep thinking, this tool, I have 20 students, all of them want to cheat. My job is to find out whether they cheat or not. I don't think that's trusted by students as well. I think if I were to ask you, a teacher from middle school that you remember, or high school, most of the teachers that we remember is the teachers that really, we felt like they cared about us at a personal level. We were not just a regular student. So therefore, it's time to bring the true value of education back, which is ejikare, to draw out, to make somebody better. So we can teach these tools like, hey, here's what it can do. But I want to show you how you can use it and challenge yourself to actually know the knowledge. We can draw that inspiration into students. If we're playing the game, whether they cheat or not, you're never going to succeed. That's just, they didn't succeed 50 years ago. Are they going to succeed now that we have all this technology? Right? So we have to be realistic. We have to be real with ourselves. Yes, there's some students that are going to cheat, but not every student in your class want to cheat. We have to give students the benefit of the doubt. What happens to the term academic agency? What happens to the terms intentional defiance? Encouraging students to say no when they're given bad advice. Encouraging students to really take care of themselves in their future, because that's what they are, they're students. So we need to go back to the roots and foundation of what actually teaching is. So, pros and cons, ways students are using ChatGPT to enhance their learning, right? The faculty use for course development. You can use it to improve your course development. Students can use it to, if they writer's block happens, right? And then they can come up with different ideas. ChatGPT is really good for that. They can come up with like, hey, I need ideas of like how to do this project that I'm doing. They can do all that. Then the question becomes, how can a student prove that they know the knowledge or that they obtain the knowledge that you want them to obtain? That's where the play is. It's not into whether they use the tool or not. It's whether do they understand it. Did they learn? This honest students use quizzes, right? You can, multiple choices. Let's face it, multiple choices are everywhere. Even without ChatGPT, trust me, your students are using it, right? And we have some students, some teachers who already, I included, I'm limiting my multiple choice questions because I'm able to turn the questions into true or false, and I make them all false. And I say, if it's false, make it true. Because I want the students to really learn how to do their own work. Yes, can they use ChatGPT? Yes, absolutely. But are they going to just copy and paste from ChatGPT? Then they're going to get in trouble, which is what I'm about to talk about as well. Academic integrity, academic dishonesty, plagiarism, all these things that we're dealing with. I don't think there's like proper solutions for it, but they're being discovered as we go. It's good for brainstorming activities. You as a teacher, can use ChatGPT to brainstorm activities and ideas. It's really good at organizing presentations. Yes, sometimes we want our students to struggle and find a way to create an amazing presentation. But however, they can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, me and my classmates, we're trying to create a presentation about this topic. Give us an outline of what we should do. Or if you teach them that, they have to enter a prompt to say, I have this presentation that I want to create. I also want ideas of how to make it better. What can I focus on? And let them do it and turn it as an assignment. So that way when it comes to write down the final project, if they don't follow the outline that they gave you, then that means they didn't spend enough time for it. But there's different practices that we can apply. It's really, really good at organized presentations. Same way as it's really good at putting together like lesson plans and things of that nature. So students are using ChatGPT for assignments. Here's how we found it, right? Assignment does not align with the student's voice in class or in previous work. If you have an in-person class, you can figure out a way to have that personal relationship with the students. You know how they talk, you know how they write, maybe you can do written exercise. If it's an online class, you can do discussions where they write. And then be able to get their voice, be able to get to know who they are. This is not asking too much. It's basically going back to what education should be. You should have a personal relationship with your students. Level work for the assignment does not align with student engagement level in the course. We put this, and this is one of the most difficult ones to grasp because it's very dangerous, right? Because level work for assessment does not align with, there's some perception to it. I myself have faced that. I was in high school, I came here, I had to learn English from scratch, and when I was in high school, I had advice of teachers saying, you're not gonna be able to pass college. Stay and work instead for a little bit. College is hard, right? There's certain advice that we give because we care, but we don't know we're limiting the student's potential, right? Students' answers are either too broad or too narrow for the question being asked. Pay attention to this one because that's what you'll find out. You might ask a simple question that requires like specific things, and then they'll just go around and type so much stuff that's not needed, right? Students' answer is much longer than what would be required to answer the question, right? And then, here is what we've done. Answer the prompts you think the student would have used into ChatGPT. Do not copy their answers and put it in there and say, was this written by ChatGPT? It might be like, yes, but it could also be wrong. It has happened to me once. A student really, really can work hard, get the paper to be really, really good because they're working hard. That's part of working hard. I remember when I was in college, I went to the student center 6 times for each paper. Then my college didn't even go. And one time, my greatest academic success, it was a very hard class, metaphysics, where my work was the #1 out amongst 14 students in the class. I went to the writing center like 6, 7 times. It was so hard. And that was my purest moment in my life. But if it was in this day and age and the teacher came like, this is not you, you don't talk like this in the class, then I would have killed my whole career. Pay attention to that. Students are really wanting to work hard, and so some of these tools can be the new tools we use, yes. For example, at PCC or some of the other colleges that I know, we have academic dishonesty in general, but they don't have the language for it. So what we're encouraging teachers to do is like, hey, create your own statement around using these tools. Because if you don't use it in your school, in terms of like your computers, students are using it at home, so it's common knowledge. So you shouldn't refrain away from it. You should be able to talk about it. How you integrate it into your lesson plans, that's something different, because that goes with what you're talking about, and that's something that's different for everyone. For example, PCC does not, once you eliminate PCC, you can't access Google Maps or YouTube.
Right.
Does that mean we can't use YouTube? No, it just also means that they have their own reasons, we have to respect that. So I think that's really, really important thing that you just brought up. So we've had 2 students who've used, I'm gonna leave you with this. One student used ChatGPT. We could tell this is not their work, and we say, hey, this is not your work. And one student says, no, this is my work. And we're like, this is not your work, this is my work. Now, you can see how we can go into more things, right? Legal battles and all kinds of stuff, because you're accusing somebody to do something that, could turn into a serious thing. What we did is, it was, citations were required for the paper, and they quoted something that was not true at all, because we had the evidence to say, this is not your work, because you quoted McKinsey and Company writing some international things. They didn't, right? And so we went to the student and say, if you think this is your work, and you convince us that it is, go ahead and give us this citation. Where did you get it? Give us this article. They couldn't. And the student we had to fail the student, because they were dishonest about their way of doing things. We've had students who use it, and because they're honest about it, we talk to them about, hey, you can use it at home and try to come up, but try to do your own work. It's that balance of like really facilitating the knowledge, because the tool is here, people are using it, and there's not a whole lot that you can do. Yes?
And that grading piece, I think, is really key, is in your classroom, is the grade at the end the goal, or is the learning process the goal? And so if they think they have to use ChatGPT to cheat because they need that grade, then I need to change something in my classroom. So for my college students, everything can be resubmitted with, we have timelines and things like that. because it's not about their first draft. It's,
Right.
It is the learning process, and we make mistakes, and then we learn from them. And so I think that grading piece can help us to frame out how to use it.
No, absolutely. How many people have like a syllabus statement that addresses ChatGPT at all? You do? Oh, wow, nice. Is that for like the school or just for you as a?
That's for me.
Oh, for you, okay, from you. And that's what we're encouraging people to do as teachers. I feel like teachers need to, they have autonomy to create their own knowledge, right, within the class. So I think what we did is we generate something simple. In my class, I say, hey, you can use ChatGPT, but here is the precautions. The use of OpenAI, ChatGPT, or artificial intelligence programs to create content for assignments is not permitted in this course and will be treated as academic dishonesty. But notice how I say, I look forward and I'm excited to see original work and perspectives, right? Students are allowed to use these tools for brainstorming, checking your own work, and organizing your thoughts. At least I put it there. If I act like it's not ever existent, then I'm just running away from the problem. And I think this is not the end-all be-all, but it starts something. It starts a conversation. So just wanted to leave you with that. I really, really appreciate the time we've spent together. We've come to an end. I will share these slides with all of you, and I hope that this is an example for you to start from there. So thank you so much.